Hi, my name is Frank Schaeffer. I am a writer and a commentator who began his life in a right-wing evangelical fundamentalist cult started by my famous evangelist father, Francis Schaeffer. When I say a cult, I mean something out of the religious mainstream that became a personality cult where he had millions of followers around the world, and I was his nepotistic sidekick in the 70s and 80s, teaming up with people like Dr. Schaeffer, who became Ronald Reagan's Surgeon General, to start what was called the pro-life movement. Fast forward to our present moment of history, we have Donald Trump as president, partly as a result of what I and my family did in turning the Republican Party into a kind of a litmus test ground for evangelical social causes. Anti-gay, anti-feminist, anti-abortion, anti-freedom, positively racist in terms of the white school movement and school flight from integration. I repented of that past a long time ago, and for more than the last 30 years I have been fighting to try to undo some of the damage our family did and tell the truth about the right wing I come from. People like Franklin Graham and Jerry Falwell Jr. and Ralph Reed, these other right-wing evangelical white leaders that I knew personally back in the day, many of whom, like Ralph Reed, got into politics because of the work my father, Francis Schaeffer, did. It is from that perspective that I want to give you a warning today. In the bosom of the United States right now, we have some people who are manipulating the presidency of Donald Trump, this fool, this charlatan, this con artist with no philosophy, no human sensibility, no compassion, no empathy. But there are people around him who have used this presidency, like Ralph Reed, like Franklin Graham, like others, to push an agenda that is very clear. It is the agenda of theocracy. It is the same agenda that the Ayatollahs, beginning with Khomeini in Iran and the revolution against the Shah, brought in the world of Islam. It is the same agenda that the Saudi royal family had in using Wahhabist Islam to advance their secular kingdom. It is the philosophy of the Spanish Inquisition that was in the bowels of the ships approaching England at the time of the Armada, against which Queen Elizabeth I stood. She warned her people that in the bowels of those ships came the Inquisition, the end of free thought, the end of freedom in the United Kingdom as it was then understood, where Protestant and Catholic could coexist, where Jews were no longer subject to the Inquisition, as they were in Spain at that time, where people could find refuge and could disagree even with the monarchy up to a point, even in those days. Today, we have another Spanish Armada coming, and coincidentally, again, driven by a fanatic Roman Catholic theocrat called William Barr, who has perverted the Justice Department, who made a speech declaring his aims at Notre Dame University, this Catholic institution, where he said that secular humanists and liberals and Democrats were trying to take away religious freedom, which is his code word for imposing his theocratic views on us. He, like everyone who works for Donald Trump, utterly disdains Donald Trump. But he sees in Donald Trump a useful idiot to advance a long-term agenda. Now, ironically, when we had our first Roman Catholic president, with John F. Kennedy, the far-right white reaction to that, similar to Barack Obama being black, was that Catholics somehow would be loyal to the Pope and not to the American Constitution. In the case of the Kennedy family, liberal Democrats with a vision of America so very different from someone like William Barr, it was an utter lie. Very similar to the lie that Donald Trump now speaks about when he talks about black people and talks about people who resist and demonstrate as terrorists and so forth. Ironically, in the case of William Barr, it's absolutely true. William Barr's loyalty is not to the Constitution of the United States. It is to an anti-feminist, anti-gay, anti-LGBTQ rights agenda. He wants America to conform to his idea of religious liberty, which is traditional right-wing, Roman Catholic, traditional right-wing, evangelical, white Christianity imposed on a majority that is slipping away from these theocrats of black people and Hispanic people and Asian people and women and gay people and trans people and others who no longer will put themselves under the thumb of today's inquisition. In the bowels of the Justice Department is a group of people led by William Barr who will do anything to subvert American justice in order to prosecute their agenda. And their agenda is un-American. Their agenda is directly linked to the Inquisition of Spain and the torture of those who disagree with you. In our case, the pepper spraying and the gassing of people who protested peacefully in Lafayette Square and got in the way of Donald Trump the fool, parading with his Bible that was handed to him to hold up as if somehow that symbolized something. What it symbolized is nothing that he intended, which is just to show himself as a manly man, though he is a coward and a draft dodger, and I say that as the father of a U.S. Marine who fought in Afghanistan and Iraq, and I am proud of his service. But William Barr knows exactly what he is doing, and he's the most dangerous man in America. He is a theocrat. He is a fanatic, fundamentalist Roman Catholic who regards humanists, atheists, Jews, liberal Christians, evangelicals who are black and others outside of his purview as the enemy. We must do what Queen Elizabeth I did, and that is call ourselves to unite against what is this invading alien force, William Barr. And however the next election goes in 2020, and I pray to God, Donald Trump is not only destroyed, but the Republican Party, this lick-spittle enabling party with him. But along the way, make no mistake, Franklin Graham, Ralph Reed, Jerry Falwell Jr., and William Barr, who is intellectually superior to all of those three men put together, have an agenda. And that agenda is to, in the name of religious liberty, strip the fundamental liberties of the United States away and replace them with a white, theocratic, conservative Roman Catholic, conservative fundamentalist Christianity that is imposed on the rest of us, to which civil liberties will bow in the same way that demonstrators in Lafayette Square were gassed and pepper sprayed to make way for Donald Trump. That is the vision of the future. In the bowels of the Armada approaching the British coast were the Spanish Inquisition with their implements of torture, ready to make Protestants and freethinkers bow the knee to Rome. It seems strange that in 2020, we have an Attorney General of the United States with a brain that would have been more at home in Spain of the Inquisition than in our free country. But let freedom ring. It is our duty as Americans, whether we are evangelicals or Roman Catholics or secular humanists or atheists, and all points in between of whatever color, to unite against the imposition of theocracy on our Constitution. They must be destroyed. My name is Frank Schaeffer.